Swagger on point when I step in. Signs in the air for the gang that you're repping. Don't get brave when I'm stepping in the rave. If you show man love, everything's okay. So looking for a lively rave to have fun in. If there ain't girls in the place, we ain't coming. Middle finger up to the Jake, stepping in with the gang. Please tell the police they can't come in. Show me a salute, that's gang. Pure love for the crew, that's gang. Don't chat shit if you ain't gonna bang. Just show man a sign if you're down for the gang. Show me a salute, that's gang. Pure love for the crew, that's gang. Don't chat shit if you ain't gonna bang. Just show man a sign if you're down for the gang. Man a sign if you're down for the gang.
Can't fuck with the gang, we don't fucking pretend. We be busting the clubs, cause you know that we can. Can't fuck with the gang, we don't fucking pretend. Still rocking the show, still feeling the flow.
Welcome back, Juventinita, to the Juventinita Back to Black and White podcast. I'm Daniel Negro, and I'm live from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And today we're going to be going over the dreadful turnaround that Milan gave us. Unbelievable. You know, I'm at work and I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, oh, 2-1. Sweet. This is not too bad. I mean, we're in the lead. It's kind of late. Then end of day, 4-2. I was like, oh, we must have won 4-2. Look a little bit closer. We lost 4-2 to Milan. What the hell is going on? So I'm like, okay, I got to get home and see what is going down. It's unreal. We have a very special guest today. His name's Rocco. I'm sure you've heard of him. I'm sure you know a lot about him already. Obviously, co-founder of Bianconeri YYZ or Z, whichever you prefer.
Red in Canada.
Exactly. We don't want to discriminate now. But anyways, no, thank you, Rocco, for coming on. I appreciate it. It's great to have you on.
All right, man. Hey, it's a pleasure to be to have a debut for your podcast. It's been a long time coming. I like to support all Juventus podcasts in general. I think I've been on almost all of them that I know of, and usually as one of the first guests ever. So I maybe it's a good omen that I'm one of the good guests. Of the first guests, and hopefully it'll be many times coming back, and hopefully this is one of very, very hundreds of episodes and successful ones at that. So one of the things that I like to do is, besides the Bianconeri YYZ, as you call them, which is the newest club in Toronto for Juventus fans, a Juventus official fan club. Besides that, I'm more interested in community building and especially in the Italian footballing movement as a whole. The only way that Italian football can grow and that Juventus can win in Europe is by growing the market, and the best way to do that is to grow the Italian footballing movement as a whole. So and you know what? I'm not the FIGC president. I don't know anyone in that world. I'm not in the governance side of things. But you know what? I'm a community builder. I'm a fan. And, I build bridges with other fan clubs. I go to the Lazio fan club. I have friends in the Milan fan club. Probably after today, a lot more friends in the Milan fan club. But I like to reach out and build those bridges. So, yeah, thank you, man.
Oh, yeah. No, it's always nice. It's always nice having those bonds, It's not all, death by 1,000 cuts between each team. It's there's a lot of good people on both sides, as some president said, but not in the same context. But no, it's good to see. And just before we kind of start here, obviously, if you guys heard in the news, the very famous Italian producer Ennio Morricone passed away. So just a rest in peace to him. If you haven't heard of him, I really would be surprised. He's done over 400 scores for cinema and television, as well as 100 classical works. Crazy. The films that he has worked on, over 70 of them were awarded. some of the biggest awards in the world, and just iconic work. I mean, if you've listened to, as an Italian, being in Italian class in high school, one of the films we watched, Cinema Paradiso,
Favorite
unbelievable.
movie of all time, bro. Favorite
Exactly,
movie of all
exactly.
time. I
And it's
loved
just,
it.
yeah, it's just incredible work. Like the amount of craft he puts into the each track and how well it suits the film. Obviously, more recently, Hateful Eight. I think he did a phenomenal job on that one.
Won the
And exactly,
for that. Finally,
yeah, yeah.
finally, unfortunately overlooked by the Academy, which was, I think, rather biased in favor of the American John Williams, and there's another guy. The last name starts with a Z, escapes me at the moment.
Hans Zimmer.
But that's right. That's right. Correct. Thank you. But absolute giant. And when he finally did win the Oscar, the statuette was like, oh my God, I can't believe that I'm being held
Yeah.
by Ennio Morricone.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's unbelievable. So just wanted to quickly shout out, obviously, like you said, the Italian community, great Italians around the world, and, just wanted to make that note. But let's get into Bianconeri YYZ. Obviously, I'm a member, obviously.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, definitely for me, it was something, you look at where all these major cities, right? And they have their clubs, and Canada's a little bit more spread out than a lot of the rest of the world, correct? So, I reached out to Vancouver, no response. So,
Really?
Juve fan club of Vancouver, what's going on over there? But so I really had no idea till I started asking questions. Obviously, seeing that you guys had recently formed the club, and then obviously got official status, and I was surprised that someone from Alberta could join this club that's obviously located. Obviously, you're not going to be going to the meetups and stuff like that, but definitely there's a lot of benefits. You get to meet a lot of great people, obviously. But again, so one of the big questions that I've been asked, because I've had a few people in Calgary obviously say, oh, there's also this other club. So give us because you've been on the obviously Beppe show, Boniani show, and did the Q&A. So you've answered a lot of the the generic questions. So we're not going to bore you guys with that. I would definitely go check out that video. But why choose Bianconeri YYZ over this other club that's in Toronto?
Mhm.
Sell us,
Well-
Rocco. Sell us.
Hey, look, you know what? I mean, I'm all about, as I alluded before, I'm not about creating division, and I'm the more people we can get into the Juventus official fan club tent, the happier I am. We don't obsess at Bianconeri YYZ with size. We're not looking to become the biggest club, but we want to have more of a boutique kind of approach where each member feels special, each member feels heard and listened to, and we have guiding principles, and of course, are driven by our passion. But first and foremost, this idea of democracy, of having voices heard, and of integrity. So those are the ideals that we aspire to in terms of, we run, since we have a very large community from, sea to shining sea, as the Canadian saying goes. We like to hold, virtual meetups, especially in light of COVID, since everyone's discovered Zoom and Skype and all kinds of different software that allows you to do that kind of thing. So we do the virtual meetups. We started virtually off of a Facebook group, which is really tightly knit, and it's alive. People that are in other JOFCs that I won't mention come into our group in order to interact with us, right? And I personally don't want anything to do with other with people in other. I'd like to interact with them, but I don't want to attract them or to convert them to my club, because it's not a net net gain, right? You're just
Right.
taking someone from one place, putting them in another. That's useless, right? So there's the virtual aspect. There's the aspirational ideal aspect, and of course, in the in-person meetups that we do are special. We have, we are very, very particular in terms of selecting a venue that is elite, that is top notch, that has not only great food, that has great drinks, that is guaranteed to have a great time, that shows games in HD, which may seem a little odd to some people, but not everybody does that. Some people have this clubhouse aspiration. They like to have a clubhouse in an industrial area, and unfortunately, it doesn't come with all the bells and whistles that say we do when we go to top end pubs that are central in downtown Toronto. And we also do have the odd meetup that doesn't take place in the most central part of Toronto. It'll be a little bit in a bedroom community, but still within Toronto, the city of Toronto, in order to go to people who live, to members who live in those areas there, right? So, and again, this brings us back to the principle of democracy and of catering to and listening to what the people want.
Awesome. No, that's great to hear. And yeah, no, it's definitely, if that was kind of something that was lacking, it's definitely seen in this group. So definitely appreciate it. And yeah, no, definitely, I think that's something you want, especially if you are living. Obviously, I do have relatives, and I'm gonna get after them to join. And obviously friends from that have been on the podcast. Now, someone did come on the podcast. His name is Luca. Now, he was having a little bit of a problem with the form. So did that get rectified?
Yeah, no, we need to update that damn form to include QC, right? Quebec. But you know what? I mean, we can deal with that offline. I'll tell you, even if he puts himself down as Ontario, we would still accept him anyway and make sure that when we include his information in the actual form that gets mailed back to Torino, right? Or to what I call Mamma Juve, to the Juventus club FC football club, then of course he would have all the correct information in there. So yeah, and membership is open for 2021. While we cannot register you yet because they haven't opened that, we're accepting applications and of course payment. And as soon as then it's ready, then we'll just do a whole lot of data entry and make sure everyone's in. So if you're interested, if you're in and around the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area and beyond in Canada, if you want, you can reach out and sign up on. You can do so online. There's actually a direct link on our brand spanking new website, which is bianconeriyyz.com. Nice and simple. Hit membership, fill the form, even if it has Quebec. Reach out to us. Say something. Say, hey, Rocco, it's got Quebec. I wrote down Ontario. I'm from Quebec. We'll make it happen.
Beautiful. See, Luca, I made it happen. There you go. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. But see, that's the problem when you have about 3 referendums in the history of Canada, then they stop including you on the list. So that's what happens. Sorry.
Yeah. In Canada, so many things, so many contests exclude Quebec. And they say it applies everywhere except Quebec. So they have some kind of rule there that prevents them from participating.
But yeah, no. So even speaking to the briefly about the benefits, obviously you're going to get the ability to watch games through the ticketing portal that we have access to as fans. Obviously, post-COVID, whenever this gets back to normal, obviously, like you said, in Toronto, you're going to be able to go to these meetups, and obviously, yeah, it's something to have. Like even if you're going to go, with the experiences I've had with ticketing. It's definitely something that you want to become a part of. Like I said, even if you're not from Toronto, because how much does the membership go for?
The membership for brand new members, it's $49, but we like to recognize those who have put faith in our project from year one. So for this year, the renewal, if you were part of the first batch of folks who joined us, is 35. So
Right.
49 for new, 35 for renewals.
Which is,
And
again,
you,
more
man,
than worth it.
yeah, I mean, and especially, I mean, if you're planning to go to Torino and see the
Do it.
game live, I mean, you'd be foolish. You're spending thousands of dollars to get there, right? $35 is nothing.
Yeah.
And it's nice if if you do this like a couple of months before, you do it, you actually decide to pull the trigger on it,
Yeah.
because, we can then hook you up with a ticket. They will make sure that we get it here. We do all the transactions of payment. Then once you get there, we will tell them, hey, listen, is there an opportunity to do the walkabout, which is a stadium tour, which you know what it is if you've been to Torino, plus. It's a stadium tour plus, and you end up in the tunnel welcoming the players as they come off, slapping them five and whatnot, right? Like giving them five. Hopefully, I mean, after some games, you want to slap them after the game too, right? But like, we're gonna get
after today, yeah. No, definitely. Like I said, it's going to be more than worth it. If anyone is a Juve fan in Canada and you're going to be heading, obviously, post-COVID, because there have been a lot of people who have been saying, yeah, I was supposed to go this year. Yeah, I was supposed to go this year. So there's going to be a lot of people wanting to go after to get their first experience. Last little statement or whatever, if you want to call it. So Rocco, I know we've won that contest for the obviously the JOFC contest.
Yeah.
How much do I have to bribe for me to get on that list to go through that whole jamboree there?
Yeah. So this is something above and beyond whatever the benefits are, right? Like I was just talking about the walkabout. There's this thing called terzo tempo, which means the third half, where you go to like for dinner or something afterwards. That has an additional cost to it, right? And it's very limited. So it's something that you have to kind of book in advance, and hopefully there isn't a lot of competition. There's discounts that you can get on the online store, and you don't have to be in Turin for that. You can get discounts at any Juventus store in person, so which they're all over Europe and Italy. I think there might be one in North America too, but nowhere close to us. And on top of all that, we are one of the few lucky winning Juventus official fan clubs who won the JOFC Challenge. We won in the weighted category. So obviously, being a smaller club, we had a much smaller denominator to make those points count. And we won like a special walkabout that will include actually going on the field and I think meeting the players there, or so. It's just something really special that's like even bigger and better than a walkabout. But we haven't organized exactly when that will be.
Right.
I don't know if it's limited to 25 people, or I think it might be. If we get 25 people going from our club, I will be very, very, very surprised, because you need to coordinate that, right? And not it has to happen by the end of the 2021 season. So it's next season. I think initially they wanted to do it by end of 2020. That was before COVID broke out, right? So we'll still see about exactly when that is, but I don't think that Juventus will renege, considering what's happened with COVID. So yeah, that's something that's a dream. I haven't been to Torino in, I think the last time I was there was 2016. So it's been 4 years. And to be honest, I had been there for so many consecutive seasons. I went there in 2012. I went there in 2013 twice, 2014, 2015, and 2016 or something like that. And then I haven't been back since.
Yeah, no, that was actually I think that was my first time too, was 2016, last game of the season. So, but hell of a time.
So you saw them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's when they all the fans, the Curva Sud, just bombarded the pitch and they took off. But unfortunately, there was no parade, which it is what it is.
Yeah,
but it was a hell of an experience. But yeah, guys, again, Bianconeri YYZ, check them out. become a member, get that access. So, if you don't know Rocco, which I would be shocked, obviously his handle on Twitter is Catenaccio NA. Again, like he said, he's been on multiple platforms, social videos, whatever you want to call them, channels, YouTube channels. But if you don't know him, kind of give us a feel. I know you've said you've never really had this favorite player. There's no, obviously it's for the jersey, for the crest.
Yeah.
Kind of give us not to necessarily age yourself, but give us the generation that you grew up in and what really brought the love to the black and white stripes for all the.
Well, and so my genesis story as a Juve fan, right? I mean, it's very, very straightforward. I mean, it's really weird. And I completely see why some people come to the club, right? You can have a fantastic player, Platini or Baggio, Del Piero, or someone like that just makes you fall in love with
Right.
Eventually the team, and it sticks with the team. In my case, I guess it's just the kind of person I am. I'm one of my best friends. Like I had just moved to Italy with my family. My family's originally from there, so they moved back, and I moved there for the first time. And my best friend happened to be a Juve fan, and he, told me about the legend that was Juventus, and about the most successful team and the most scudettata team in the world, the first team to win every single trophy under the sun that a club team can win.
Yep.
And basically the first team to have a complete trophy case. And and the rest is history. I just fell in love, got more and more interested, and I owe, like, even though that friendship didn't last because my friend moved away, Juventus is something that stuck with me and kind of really taught me how to socialize with people. It's been a reason to socialize with people, and it still is to this day in a very different way. It was a reason for why I learned Italian so well, and because, of course, living there, but it pushed me to buy magazines. I would save my allowance every week so I could buy the magazine at the end of the month, Ora Juventus, which was the official magazine of the club. And I think now it only exists in digital form, if at all.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's one of those things. And of course, being my luck, I started cheering for Juventus right at the beginning of a 9-year drought in Scudetti winning.
So they built you well.
Right? And it's just the most amazing thing because, and this is why, like, I see a lot of lack of resilience, if you will, from some Juventus fans. I mean, my skin has been built on these kind of tough reference experiences where we never made it to Champions League because Champions League was only for the first team, the Scudetto winning team. We would win the odd UEFA Cup, Italian Cup, end up third, end up second, but like never the bride, always the bridesmaid. And then, of course, once I moved back to Canada, so after 7 years of Italy, my family decided to move back. Juventus immediately that season won the Scudetto with Lippi. So I didn't even have the joy of like rubbing it in my Milanista and Interista friends' faces to say, we won this year. We are the champions. Right? No way. So, that's basically it. So the Juventus that I grew up with was the Juventus of Rui Barros and Zavarov and Alenichev. That's back when Italian teams were allowed only 3 foreigners, and we thought well to get 2 losers from the Soviet Union. And Rui Barros, who was like tiny Portuguese guy, but like super speedy and like agile and great forward, but like a B or an A- kind of player. Of course, the tail end of the careers of Antonio Cabrini and Giancarlo Marocchi, Sergio Tacconi, these legends towards the end of their career. And of course, seeing the trajectory beginning of Baggio and the hero who kind of the hero of a tournament and maybe a season or two, who was Toto Schillaci. So that was the Juve that I started following, and of course I was lucky to be old enough to truly appreciate everyone who came after Del Piero and Peruzzi and Zidane and Vialli and everyone.
Beautiful. No, that's awesome. Just love hearing that, because just spitting the knowledge, and I think it's good. That's kind of one thing I said when I started this is kind of, bringing back the past, because it really, in today's world, like you said, it was so difficult even to get into Champions League or Champions Cup as they called it back then. And
Right.
a lot of people don't realize that everyone thinks it's now just a privilege. It's their right to be in the Champions League, when at one
Correct.
point it was a privilege because you had to win the league every year. So, but no,
Correct.
that's really nice to hear, Rocco. I appreciate that story. Let's kind of get right into it now. Obviously, the news for today, there isn't too much. Obviously, Bonucci was the captain for today. He had his 400th game, obviously, against Torino. And again, the biggest news I would say is Lazio losing to Lecce in the morning, the early game, which gave us Juve fans a very confident sense before live. I saw a lot of tweets this morning saying 9 Scudetto loading. Yeah, so it's funny where we're sitting now. Obviously, I'm wearing black, and usually we wear black when it's funerals, bad times.
Yeah.
But let's not get too negative. Exactly. So, you know, how have you been seeing Juve? Because obviously in this restart, I've seen them a certain way, and I kind of want to hear what your thoughts on how we've been playing. Have you liked it? Has it been clunky? What do you think, Rocco? Like, how have we obviously culminating to this moment against Milan? Have you liked the way we've been playing? What do you? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I got to say, a bit of a stutter thing. They got off to not a great start, which is understandable. There were no warm up matches, so some of that's your form's gonna suffer. I didn't see us getting played off the field. If that's what you're asking, I think we held our own against Milan in the Coppa Italia game, albeit we were up to one man, 10 against 11, 30 minutes, played great football. Like, I was really surprised. And then, we just maybe more of a calculated approach. We kind of took the result home. Against Napoli, we sat on top of their box for most of the game. And I think all of our limits have been exposed year in, year out, whenever we play a side that is very disciplined physically fit, but also very disciplined tactically to shut down all the spaces. And, that's what Napoli did, right? They just sat us out, waited us out, and countered. Pioli figured that out today, I think. Even though it wasn't in a classic fashion, to be honest, they didn't score against us in counters. I think one of them, they made the third goal was a counter. We'll get into that. But what was in between were some pretty impressive stuff, and I think in a growing fashion. We saw good first half against Lecce, and it paid off in the second. And then against Genoa, I think solid throughout. Against Torino, Torino is having trouble, and I don't think that we are to discount totally those three sides and say, well, that's why we were so good. I think we've been coming into our own and had a good rhythm. And then, of course, if you judge by the result, today is definitely not one to look at. But I think it's not all to be thrown away. I think there was 60 minutes of sometimes really good. Most of the times, pretty good, okay, soccer played, and then the collapse. So I think I've generally enjoyed Juve's return. You can't complain with victories in terms of what the league victories are concerned. And a really bummer about losing the Coppa Italia in at the lottery of penalties, as they call them. So anything can happen in penalty shootouts, and it wasn't our day. I think they were poorly taken and poorly selected shooters, to be honest.
Yeah. I think for me, it's more of like let's not looking at the first two because I kind of think that was a little bit separate. But personally, for me, I agree with you. We've seen progression. We've loved this 4-3-3 formation. The only thing that worried me, and I like I said, barring my Twitter account, I like to stay not too high, not too low in the lows, and not too high in the highs when we look good. So for me, there was always something that was nagging every one of those games. You look at how they set up. A lot of those, you look at Lecce, they tried to outgun us. Then they got the red card and found out that their legs were not going to hold in for 90 minutes, and we completely overpowered them. You look at Torino, again, individual brilliance, I would say, obviously, with those goals. The game against Genoa, same thing with Genoa. They tried to outgun us, sat 5 back, and a lot of these teams are sitting 5 back and very narrow. So we can go left, we can go right, we can go wherever we want, and we take our opportunities, and eventually they went in. So my only worry was if a team, and I thought one of those teams was going to follow that blueprint, was Milan or a team playing like Milan did in the first game, taking that blueprint and kind of setting 2 lines of 4 and being very kind of a pain in the ass to our wingers and obviously to our mid, which we didn't see. So I was kind of shocked. I'm like, okay, maybe they all forgot about it or they're just not paying attention. But again, like you said, then we saw it in this game again, and it seemed like it was more of kind of a back and forth, again, clunky game. Obviously, with the lineup, everyone kind of all knew what was to be expected. There was a little bit of a maybe Matuidi will come in for Pjanic, but I didn't really see that happening. Obviously, we had the usual 4-3-3 with Rugani in the back beside Bonucci, Cuadrado, Danilo. Then again, the usuals. And the number 9 was obviously Higuain instead of Dybala. Right. Milan, again, 4-2-3-1, kind of how they set up. How we previewed it. The only difference was Rebic slid to the left mid, or left winger, if you want to call it, and then obviously Ibra was up top. So not too much, nothing that we didn't really expect. But yeah, again, something where you see them, and again, it started early, right? I saw 2 lines of 4, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be interesting because we don't have Dybala there now to break the line. And it seemed like it was really difficult. I don't know what. So let's kind of get into the match now. We'll go kind of 30 minutes or so at a time. For me, the fullbacks are killing me. The fullbacks, they are killing me, Rocco. And I love what Cuadrado can give us on the offensive end. But defensively, he's becoming like, I'm counting now. Like every match, I'm counting. I'm like, mistake. And that's why I don't know. Like me and Al, we like to go back and forth about like Alexandre, right? Is he too defensive? Is he, right? Do we need someone who's more offensive and less? To me, I think he's perfect. Obviously, he made a huge mistake today, but it is his first game back from a pretty serious injury, and I wasn't too happy that Sadi did choose to play him. But we go into, obviously there's a couple. Bonucci had an amazing chance, and one thing that's good about Bernardeschi is he actually seems to know how to curl the ball in, so maybe on some of those wide and long positions, he could start taking the free kicks if we want to put the ball in the box. But really, nothing really special in the first. It was kind of a back and Milan would take their chances. They would hold possession, then they would sit back and it would go back the other way, and we'd kind of go back and forth. Is that kind of what you saw, Rocco?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I noted was around 12 minutes, Ronaldo had a shot. There was a good play there, good breakup play with Bernardeschi offering him up the ball. But, like his shot was, I think it just missed or was just deflected by Conti, right? Otherwise, Milan shutting down the spaces nicely and making their own attempts at goal, nothing transcendental, but like still kind of a balanced game until at that point anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because the commentator made he made a note of how many penalties they were given. Obviously, they talked about the handball in the last game. But it's funny because we changed our rules to model the EPL's rules.
Right.
So really, if the problem is we're giving too many, maybe it has to do with maybe the Italians should be setting their own rules as what is handball and not be using this other system that
Yeah.
makes no sense whatsoever.
Well,
But
I mean,
we'll get into that one. But it's I don't know why that was even given. But yeah, no, it's just more notes of Cuadrado's dumb tackles. And then really I just wrote from the 36th on to the halftime, just nothing special. Like really,
yeah,
it was.
there was a shot that Danilo had around 37
Yes.
minutes blocked, and Higuain had a weak shot, but he had a weak shot, but it was no, sorry, it was 46th minute. So I think it was second. I don't know if that was 46th of the first half, like additional time, but anyway, it's this way I have that down as 46, so maybe it's the second half. But there was good buildup that led to that shot. The shot was
Yes.
weak. The shot was weak. It was worthless, but it was a nice buildup that so you saw a little bit. Okay, something may be coming here, right?
Yeah.
So
No, exactly.
mainly uneventful first half.
Yeah.
Uneventful. Yeah.
No, exactly. That was a good point. It was the 36th. And yeah, it was like a good link-up play, and then obviously Danilo takes the shot, and it was like, okay, well, what that was nothing. And Danilo really hasn't showed much in this game. Really wasn't really effective. Again, like you said, we'll get into the second half. Definitely started out great. I mean, perfect run, obviously from Rabiot, and then Higuain does a really nice job of dragging the Milan defender kind of out of the middle. And again, not necessarily more of a mistake on Romagnoli, and then obviously I believe it was Kyer that got pushed out. But yeah, great, unbelievable shot by Rabiot. I couldn't believe it. I was quite shocked.
What a goal! I tweeted out. I was Diego Armando Rabiot. He just took the ball, won a ball in the midfield, which is like something already something unusual, and then like runs past the player, nutmegs. I think it was Kyer or Conti, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And it just takes the ball, and yeah, absolute screamer of that could have been a goal that just destabilized Milan and just could have buried them, but go on.
You'd think, and then again, Cuadrado playing with fire makes a mistake in the 49th. Again, doesn't really cost us much, but and then Rugani definitely makes. He had some great. Like, what was your thoughts on Rugani up to this point? I know we'll get into a little bit how it changed, but I thought he was pretty stable with Bonucci for a good chunk of this game.
Mhm.
Again, it is his first game in how many years now? Like.
Yeah.
So yeah,
To get that game rhythm and also to get the right kind of legs. So that's the only excuse you can give
silver
him,
lining.
to be honest. But until that point, yeah, I'm sure it was an okay performance. Also because Milan was pretty much limited to not very to fairly harmless forward forays. With the odd not near miss, but not really dangerous scoring chances. I didn't see any until at this point.
Right, and then we get to the 53rd minute,
Mhm.
Cuadrado with a great ball over the top, and
Yeah.
Ronaldo making a run, and just I don't know what the hell the Milan defense
Oh
was
yeah,
doing.
they just canceled each other out, and he just like thank you.
Yep.
And it
Goes
wasn't the
in.
most irresistible shot, right?
No.
Donnarumma, probably was just surprised by it, and Ronaldo had so much of the net to shoot at that, if he just angled it right and gave it just enough power to
Put it over.
to have not be able to stop it. I think he got a bit of a hand on it, finger on it, but that's it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, up 2-0 at that point.
Yeah.
Seems like we're sailing. Everything, yeah, everything's good. Ship it off. Take the 3 points home. Nope. Quadrado again just gets dummied, broken ankles on the edge of the box. Obviously, we had Rugani. You know, he had a nice block there to help us out. But then again, let's get into this one. 61st minute. I can't remember who crossed it in, but I know Rebic obviously headed it towards goal, and Rugani's arm is, I don't know how you want to judge it, but to me, I'll just say this. If you cut his arm off, the ball goes directly and hits him in the chest and does not bounce toward goal. Or at least if it bounces off of his chest and goes forward, you're looking at a 50-50 between two players.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're doing with this rule. It's like, just let it be. It has to be egregious, and I don't see that as something egregious like the last game. I don't see it egregious.
I think he started with his arm was out.
A little bit.
I kind of saw it. The first time when I saw it live, I'm like, yeah, that kind of looks like a penalty to me because the arm wasn't tucked in, right? And I thought it hit like about here, right? Just a little below the shoulder, which is a penalty, right? But then he kind of, when I looked at it again, I was like, I noticed that he actually was going toward, putting it towards his body. I don't think he actually was able to get it connected, and it hit like below. So, it's a penalty that could have been given. It's fine. But at 2-1, you guys should be able to lock that down and be like, okay, well, we take note, and now it's like, okay, let's just make sure that we take the game home. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, the final kind of thing on that, I just hate how it's like we're really looking from this position here to tucked. It's like that's what's inches in a game that's going how fast, right? Especially because it's coming off of a header. It's not like it came off the cross, But, I mean, it is what it is. The ref has the right to call it. I just think, that necessarily gives them a lot of life. They then score the penalty. Obviously, Ibra scores the penalty. And, okay, wake up time. Wake up, Juve. But, no, we were still fast asleep. It's 65 minutes in, first decent cross in from Quadrado on the wing. I thought the wings were essentially inexistent in this game. We couldn't get them involved. Milan, like I said, was pressing. Every time they tried to come up in 1-2, pressed heavily and really couldn't get anything going. I think towards the end, we started moving more, but I think that was just more based off of fatigue and, spaces then start opening up. And obviously when Milan's up 4-2, they're going to start giving more space to you and sitting back, right? But then we get into the 66th minute. And you sit and you watch them score this and you go, is anyone just awake in the brain there? Like, is everyone's like, oh, I don't want to touch the guy. I don't want to just clear the ball out. They're 1-2ing, like everybody's getting an assist on that ball. And obviously Kessie just walks out, smashes it in, and I'm going, and I believe it was Quadrado even got a touch on the ball that went through him. And then obviously it was 1-2 and then bang in the net. And you're just like, why is everyone standing around? Like, wake up. The game's not over yet. Like, hello, wake up.
And Bonucci's like doing these like backward lunges. And you're going like, what are you doing, man? You're just looking like a flamingo out there.
Yeah,
right?
Just smash that ball out of there.
Yeah.
Smash that ball out of there.
No resolve.
And then it keeps getting worse. Obviously, I believe it was Leao gets the ball, brings it wide, and I don't know if I want to blame completely on Rugani. We'll see what you have to say about this, but Szczesny.
Yeah.
When in something in hockey we talk about, near post goals, right? And obviously, okay, the nets are a little bit different size, but those are the worst. The goalie hates that the most. Obviously, you're on that side. Yes, it is deflected, but he takes a shot from out there, and I'm just looking like, how did you let that in? How did you let that in? And it was just a flurry, right? A flurry of counters, and again, Liao, a very quick player, very offensive player, just takes the ball and hammers one, obviously from the left side, near post, and that was 3-2. We're behind the 8 ball now. Yeah. So again, what did you think? What did you think of the third goal, Rocco?
Oh man, like that. Like what was Chesney doing? Right? That it did like near post. Are you kidding me? Like that, you're supposed to have that covered.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and I mean, what's the guy doing? Just walking right in. Just go here. You know, just come on and just come take a look at the dining room set that we just got. You know, like what is this? Right? And boom, shot goes right by him, and I'm like, oh, like, what's happening here?
It's just a calamity.
But the joke is that at least Milan knows something about 6-minute meltdowns and blackouts, right? Right?
Exactly.
Maybe it was just catchy. Maybe it was just contagious. This is going on. There's a pandemic happening. Maybe they passed on the Istanbul bug to
exactly
for that. But, whatever. It's that was it was 6 minutes of hell. It's like 1, 2, and then you're going, okay, 2-2. All right, maybe we'll wake up now, right? Go back. Maybe we can make it 3-2. We go down 3-2. It's okay. Maybe we can make it 3-3. Let's go. At least we can salvage a point and still gain out of this game week, right? And be up a point. But go on.
Yeah, and it just went from there. Obviously now it's time to make subs according to Sadi. After all this happened, after we go down. Obviously Matuidi comes on, Douglas Costa comes on, and Ramsey comes on. To me, it was just a little too late, and you could tell that we were behind, and it didn't matter what you were going to do, and it was just, they were just too good at that point, and, it's like a cold engine, and you can't really start it at that point. Obviously, again, 75th minute, Milan counter, and, Bonucci, clueless. I don't know. We bring on obviously Alexander, which, like I said, I didn't think we needed him. Difficult injury, but he gets brought on for obviously Cuadrado, so he goes back in his left back role. Obviously, Danilo moves to the right. First ball.
Yeah.
And I think actually, before they scored, obviously there was I believe it was Rugani, right, who had that header that tested Donnarumma, but maybe atoning for some of the stupidity.
That would have almost made it a not terrible performance.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then obviously 80th minute, Alexandro, I don't know who he was giving the ball to. Everyone was half asleep anyway, so it doesn't matter who the hell. He might as well have put it in the stands because it didn't look. Everyone was like, "Oh, the ball's coming back over here to the right side." Rugani's like, "Whatever," and then Bonaventura, right on his toe, puts it over to Rebic, and he buries it, and that was game over right at that point.
Yeah. So you're of course a good old Canadian boy, and you know about Don Cherry, and he said all the time, kids, don't center that puck.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing. Right. Don't center the ball. Like the guy crossed. Basically, it was an Alexandro cross.
Yeah.
Right. He should get a second assist on that. Right. and Bonaventura gets a first assist, and Rebic with a goal. Right. And it was just a bad night. It's just a bad half an hour where like start to finish, very little to salvage from it. I just chalk it. I just trash it. Trash it. See what you can learn from it, from the good, from the bad, and just throw it in the garbage and saying, okay, next game is 3 days from now, and let's
Yeah.
make it happen, right? Because
Yeah,
that's the thing. You can't really excuse. I don't know if you read what Saudi said in the post game, right? But
Yep.
he said there's not even. It's not even. He said it's not even worth it. Get this, the coach saying it's not even worth it to think too much about it, because we just have to focus on the positive and think about the next game. Because if you just, I'm not gonna give myself a headache just thinking about this game. And I'm going like, okay, maybe you might want to take a look at the lacunae, take a look at what the gaps are, and try to
Yeah.
improve on it. He's going like, no, I'm just gonna improve and just gonna move on and just go to the next thing. Okay.
Yeah, and he said we played 60 minutes of world level football
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, there
Yeah.
wasn't really enough there. I mean, if you're thinking that not conceding is world level football, then maybe that's one thing. But I don't know if that's the definition that I would give to that. Again, like you said, these are one of those games that you need to keep in mind, because these are our problems. And yeah, it's something that needs to be solved, because Atalanta is going to be coming in hot.
Yeah.
They've won
Yeah.
7 games in a row,
Right.
and yeah, they're not going to be holding up. They don't take any prisoners. They don't give a shit if you're Juve, Napoli, or anyone else.
Yeah.
So this is going to be, again, a real test. And I think, yeah, like you said, Sadi has to learn. He didn't really think the Lazio result affected. I don't think it did either.
Mm.
I think Higuain today, just looking at let's go look at some of the players. To say worst, I think the whole defensive back line you'd have to put. And if you want to include the whole team really, laying an egg, I wouldn't be a problem. Maybe Rabiot you could give probably top performer of today, just because of the worldly goal he scored. But
Yeah, I mean, he was
that bar isn't set too high.
yeah, I know. It's probably one of his better performances today of the year.
Yeah.
Ronaldo had an okay game, but nowhere near, what we've come to expect.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't even know if I can come up with a third player other than those two. Um, I mean, it's like,
just
look,
like you
look at
said,
who-
it's just a throwaway.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's like, yeah, it's like who's trying to pick the who's worse than the other one, and they're all pretty much in that category. It's kind of surprising how much we missed the lick, though. But I don't necessarily think that was a key theme today. I think even if we would have had the lick, I think it would have been similar to that first game against Milan. And I think this is the real test that I've been looking for. And these are the answers that we need to solve. Is a team that's gonna, sit 4-4, clog up the middle, and you're really gonna have to. You look at the first 2 goals again, something like Torino, where our ingenuity, our talent, kind of pushed us through. But really, are we going to be able to do that against Atalanta? I don't know. Again, the one thing with Atalanta, though, is their defense hasn't been as great. It's been noted, but I think they'll definitely be able to pot 4, 5, or 6 if we're not good at the back. So I would not be shocked.
God help us if we have like 5 to 10 minutes, like we did today for those 6. It'll be 10 goals. It'll be 10 goals in 10 minutes. Sorry about my camera. I don't know. I don't know if you can see me, but it's. I think it's something's going on. Something's on the fritz today with my computer. I mean, and it's not. I mean, I'm using a Microsoft Surface, so it's not like it's a cheap little thing. Weird. Anyway, apologize for that. Yeah, I know, but yeah, it was pretty much trash it. Worst players? What did you?
Yeah, I mean, really, at the end of the day, I don't think I'm going to rank them. I think everyone had a belly of a horrible day.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's even worth going through that. I think
Bonucci-
everyone
Bonucci
just needs.
was
Oh,
terrible.
sorry. Yeah, I know.
Bonucci was Europe was the worst probably. Szczęsny had a bad game. Rugani had a bad. I mean, so many had a bad game, but
Yeah.
Bonucci, as you know, my expectations as the captain are very high, and that was terrible. Like it was just awful. Almost like I would say that my camera today is performing just like Juve did, really well at the start, looked like a winner, and then just disastrous at the end. Like, where am I? Where
That's hilarious. Oh my god, that's priceless. Yeah, so kind of, looking into the next game, what do you expect? Obviously we're gonna get Dybala back. We'll close her up in a couple more lines. Obviously, thank you guys for all the comments, but there was just a lot of just trashing this team,
Oh yeah.
and trashing Sarri so we won't get into all those. Thank you though for
Mhm.
replying, obviously on the WhatsApp group. I appreciate it. But yeah, it was everything from how much do we sell Rugani, how do we get, or how much do we have to pay someone to take Rugani, to a whole bunch of other things.
Oh
So
my god.
we won't get into that too much, but yeah, again, let's look ahead, and obviously against Atalanta.
Yeah, no, I think that we're in for a really tough game. Obviously, Atalanta will be coming to Torino with, of course, a Allianz Stadium that is reduced in terms of effect, given the fact that we don't have a crowd, so that home advantage is reduced. That said, considering the last year or so, it's been quiet even when spectators were allowed in.
Yeah.
That said, we have Atalanta, which is still to play in this round, and comes off a good away victory in Cagliari, where they were sort of tested, and maybe they showed a little bit of faltering. And Zapata is on and off, but Muriel has been on fire, so that's someone
Yep.
to definitely look. And more than anything, we might be lucky that Atalanta gets one less rest day than we do, and we need that, like, gosh, like we need the legs, we need a little bit of time to rest up and re-energize,
Liquor
because
wounds, yeah.
especially when you're playing Atalanta, I mean, Atalanta's it's as if they're like robots, right?
Yep.
They don't get tired, period. So,
Yep.
but that said, I'm positive. I think that this is a kick in the ass, and it will actually give us all the more reason to come out really strong against Atalanta. I don't see us losing against them, even though, of course, soccer's fluid and the ball is round, as they say. It could happen.
Right.
But I see a definite bounce back, and ultimately, right now, the name of the game is I think Atalanta will really be the toughest game in the rest of the Serie A schedule for us. We
Right.
could, if we can get through this one way or the other, and we're still 7 points up, it's looking really, really good, because after that is Sassuolo, and after that would be
Udin.
Lazio,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's Lazio.
It's yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're correct. It is Sassuolo and it is Lazio right
And
after
then
that.
Lazio. And at Lazio, then we can, in that situation, if we're up, whatever we're up, 4 points, 7 points, 10 points, whatever,
Yeah.
all we need is we could even draw against them, maintain that distance, right? And of course, then you're drawing down on a number of games to be played, and you're just closer and closer to mathematical clinching. This is not all to say that it's going to be easy, right? But I don't know. It's going to be a really, really tough game, the toughest game left in the schedule, I think.
Well, yeah, it's pretty funny too, because I put a tweet in my drafts, and what it says was that all we had to do was match Lazio's results, and then I believe it would have been a draw, I believe, or a win against whoever that, I think it's Udinese for us after, and then I think if they drew or lost against Cagliari, then we'd be mathematically Scudetto winners, and then we go ahead and lose today.
That's right.
So
That's,
definitely a good thing for me keeping that in the drafts. You know that.
yeah.
Thank you, Twitter, for the for that function.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I know they play Samp tomorrow. I don't think that's gonna be, and they're at home, so I think it's gonna be a walk for them. I would be really surprised if Samp got anything out of that one. But hey, like you said, you never know what happens in
Yeah.
football. Obviously, the Atalanta game is going to be the afternoon, the later game or the evening game.
Mm.
And then obviously Lazio plays Sassuolo in the morning. I believe it's the first game.
Mhm.
Obviously on Saturday as well.
Well, I mean, more
Let
than anything, I hope Atalanta wins tomorrow, right? So
yeah,
that at least, they don't have the sense of urgency.
true, true.
Not that they would lack motivation to try to beat us,
Yeah,
because Gasperini is a former Juventus Primavera player in 1976-77, and he also coached our Primavera
yeah,
until I think the early noughts, from the early 1990s. So he's been he's got a
a chip,
grudge, yeah, against
chip on
us.
the shoulder.
We never selected him as top coach. There was a bit of a flirt, and it was overlooked a few times by
Yeah,
the Triade, back in the Triade days of Moji, Giraudo, and Bettega. So he's definitely saving up some players, and making sure that he's got as full and as strong a team as possible to play us in order to embarrass us. So
yeah.
definitely one to watch. Really hot game. By the way, I think that we are planning a socially distanced and responsible in-person get-together. We're going to limit it to 10 people. We're still selecting the pub. Still haven't made an official announcement yet, because
Awesome.
we still have to check in for a few things with that. But if whether that happens or not, there definitely will be a post-match uh, meetup. So Daniel, of course, you'll be invited,
For sure, for
as,
sure.
as are all the members of the Juventus Bianconeri YYZ JFC club.
Awesome. And again, just to end here, we're gonna bring the positivity up a notch.
Yep.
And so usually what I like to do is, first time at the stadium or most memorable moments. I just like to hear good Juve stories. Let's be
Yep.
honest. So the floor is yours, Rocco. If you
Yep.
have a memorable moment or story or meeting someone, there's been a lot of great ones, guys. So definitely check the past podcast, even if you want to just go to the end. I mean, there's been meeting of players and a whole bunch of great stories. So definitely
So
check that out.
I have three, but I'll try to make them I'll try to get them all in
For
there,
sure,
but
for sure.
real quick. So first off, in the 2012, I was in Italy for vacation, and season was over, but I'd never been to Turin. Made a quick trip, found a cheap flight from Bari, which is where my family was staying, which where I was
Nice.
staying, and I went up to Torino. I went by myself. Spent a one day, basically like 6 hours between Juventus store, museum, uh, tour of the stadium, and I think I spent 3 hours in the museum itself, just watching every single thing, reading every single piece that was there, taking pictures, soaking it all in. And by the time that was done, I was almost bored of Juventus, almost. So that was the first time. In 2017, I went to see the to see to I made a trip to Boston because Juventus was going there for to play Roma at Gillette Stadium, and the highlight was actually the day before when I met all kinds of players. Had a jersey that had 30
Beautiful.
had said number 39, and on top angels, or angeli was written, angels, like
Oh,
referring
beautiful.
to
Yep.
so disaster. And they got it signed by about 17 or 18 players, of course, among whom Buffon, got pictures with Buffon, Alexandro got pictures with him, Chiellini got a picture with him, Douglas Costa got a picture with him, signed by all those players I mentioned, plus Marquisio, plus Ken, plus Rincon at the time, and so many others that I actually have it all mapped out, who's who.
Beautiful.
No Manzoukic, no Higuain. Fantastic experience. And the third one was in Cardiff. I went to the Champions League final. Cardiff that day was the worst day of my life, and it has nothing, almost nothing. I mean, the cup was part of it, but it was just grueling travel to and from London. I also ended up skipping dinner because because Wales is so boring and so stupid that they didn't keep the restaurants open past they wouldn't even seat us at like it wasn't even 10 o'clock. They wouldn't even seat us, and this is while they were hosting a Spanish team and an Italian team. And what
Yeah, that's weird.
if you know anything about Spanish people, people, Spaniards in Spain, I mean people from Spain, have dinner usually starting around 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10.
Oh, yeah.
Not uncommon to have at 10:30, right? So, anyways, incredibly stupid. I don't know. Anyway, so it was not the best, but the greatest thing was that we ended up gathering. All Juventina ended up gathering at a pub in Cardiff, and the pub was like pumping the Juve hymn, the Juve song, and like I just got and everyone, and I'm just going around and around with my phone, just circling and just seeing everybody with their hands up in the air and like cheering and singing the Juve Storia di un grande amore, the chorus of the song, and it was just like the dopamine shots and the excitement and the adrenaline was just going through the roof. And that was in the warm up right before the game got started. And of course, people are like, you're Rocco from Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who are you? And I'm so and so. I'm like, you don't have an Avi. Like you don't have your real picture. And it's like, I'm so great. I never met you. And so many people. And the Maurizio from Around J was there, and I think Rav from Juve.com might have been there, and Farhad might have been there if I'm not mistaken. A lot of guys.
Yeah, it was like it was a big meeting of the Juve minds there in Cardiff. Was that like was that a package that went to London, or how'd you go about getting those tickets? Because that must have been a hot ticket to get that.
Here's a plug for JOFCs. I got it through there. There was an allowance of I think only 2 for the club that I belonged to at the time.
Okay.
And we probably not the most democratic way of selecting people who wanted to go. Just kind of they reached out to people who were on the board at the time, and I put my hand up, and that's how it happened. We would at Bianconeri YYZ, we would probably hold a draw or do something like that, something a little more fair. But I was lucky enough to do that, and I booked the ticket, booked the hotel, got over to London because Cardiff was 100% booked.
Yeah,
inaccessible, impossible to it was so expensive to like a 3-star was like $2,000 to go for like a night or something like that. So it was incredible. It was crazy. They just couldn't handle it. Yeah. So everyone went to London. A whole whack of people went to London, and they took the 3.5-hour train ride over to Cardiff from Paddington Station, which is what I did. But got home cupless, dinnerless, 3 a.m., 3:38 in the morning in London, and didn't even have any dinner. And I got to my room starving. I think I had an apple that I stole from the breakfast the night before. And I ate that and just collapsed and fell asleep.
Yeah, I don't know if I could have handled that. I mean, I've been obviously just going to games, and I was emotional enough. And then to go to a final, like even just watching it at home wasn't like enough. I would love to go. And I was trying to I was looking because I know a lot of guys, like you said, were going. They were kind of trying to make a big meetup, and guys were getting tickets and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I believe one website came up, and yeah, like you said, it was literally, I was looking at prices, and I'm like, how in the hell is anyone doing this? There was even one that you could like buy that you had to like, you flew from Torino to, I believe it was Cardiff or London, and then you had to like leave like immediately after, and like leave that same night on a plane. So I said, screw it. And
Yeah,
then,
no.
you know what happens. You know what happened next. And, I'm sure before the game, like you said, it was unbelievable. And, I guess you can kind of hold that as a testament to that year and not think about the rest. But thanks for, and your quote. I don't want to forget your quote,
Oh,
Rocco.
oh yes, and you know what? This is probably timely given a game like the one that we had, but here you go. And this is something that maybe will sound better, not now only, but maybe at the next victory, which with Juventus we're lucky is usually around the corner. Juventus is adored by fans who are jealous of her, watch her every step, know her virtues, but are ready to reproach impetuously her slightest defects, compel her to be beautiful and forever young, despite her age, and criticize when she disappoints. But they fall on their knees when, right after the adultery of defeat, she returns to them with a victory. In short, Juventus is a woman, a lover, and a mother all at once. She's Venus that sometimes cuckolds you, and at the same time the ever-virgin Madonna, pagan and Catholic at the same time. And that quote is by Jean Cao.
Damn, that's crazy. Beautiful.
It's
Beautiful.
it's the most beautiful quote that I've ever heard written by anyone on Juve. So
Yeah, unbelievable. I definitely couldn't have wrote that, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, honestly, unbelievable, beautiful.
but doesn't it speak right to
Oh yeah,
like,
exactly. Like each
you know,
line,
like
yeah.
the one where you go, ready to reproach, like we watch her, we're jealous of her, ready to reproach impetuously slightest defects,
Yep.
right? And then fall to their knees right after the adultery. She returns to them with a victory. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Like right there, that's
Yep.
poetry right there. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Exactly. Well,
All right,
Rocco, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
my man.
It's always fun. Like I said, it doesn't matter accounts big, small, it's always a good time speaking about Juve and, in good times and in bad. But again, like you said, the next best thing is the next victory and moving one step closer to the ninth consecutive. And yeah, no, I think we definitely have a squad that can get us there. So I don't see us, you know, draw in. Let's say it doesn't go well against Atalanta again. Next
Mhm.
game up, we have the points in hand and we have the team
Mhm.
in hand, and we can see the changes, and hopefully Saturday can get us there. But yeah, again, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it, guys. Check out the Bianconeri YYZ if you are obviously in Canada or in Toronto specifically.
Mhm.
Definitely worth it. Obviously, check out Rocco if you haven't. I would be shocked if you're not following the guy. But if you haven't, check him out. He's great to talk to. Great to talk to. Obviously online as well. And I think you're doing a great job bringing the community together, like you said earlier.
Thank you.
And yeah, we got to have you on. Hopefully after a better game. I guess
If how about we say if and or when we clinch? How's that?
exactly. Let's
If
do
you
it.
have an open slot, think of
She's
me.
o- she's
I'll be
open.
there. All
She's
right.
open.
Sweet.
Perfect.
Wait.
Perfect. And as always, guys, again, keep up the support. I got to thank you guys all. It's been a hell of a time. Obviously at Juventinita DAL Twitter and Instagram. That's where you're gonna find the links to obviously all of these podcasts. And then again on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, the usuals as you guys already know. And just keep an eye on Twitter. You'll get the links as soon as this one drops. And again, preview of Atalanta going to be coming up in the next couple days. I believe there's going to be another pretty special guest coming on. We're just trying to confirm the details. But yeah, definitely lots of stuff coming up this summer and even into the next season. The culture doesn't stop. Not even for hopefully not even for a second wave. But there's going to be a lot of content out there. And again, thank you very much, Rocco, for coming on. And as always, fino alla fine, guys. Forza Juventus.
alla
Ciao.
fine forza Juventus.